Now, as to where the gold might come from, we can come up with probably 4 sources. First, the gold that was stolen by the banking system can be retrieved once we restore enough common sense to where justice prevails in our currently sin-laden country. But don't hold your breath on that one. Second, the United States is, or at least was, a major producer of gold. So we could mine it. Gee, I never thought of that. 3, we can sell our products on the world market in exchange for gold that is still being produced in other countries like Russia, India, and South Africa. 4, then there's the gold that's stored under the mattress all across America, waiting for the day when it will become worthwhile to start spending it. Under legal tender, so-called laws, it is not desirable or even sensible to try to pay a debt with gold, because a Federal Reserve note, which bears the number $1, is just as valuable to the bank or to government as a $1 gold coin. In fact, I remember probably 30 years ago acquiring my first $1 gold coins, and they cost between $120 and $240 back then. Now, why on earth would you spend $120 to $240 to get a $1 gold coin so that you could pay off a bank mortgage dollar for dollar, as if they were no more valuable than a $1 Federal Reserve note? What would you do under such a circumstance? You'd keep the gold under the mattress, and that's exactly where it is. Now, the authors go on to say, on the same page 262, quote, the nation's monetary crisis is a shortage of money. Well, they got that one right, because there isn't any money, nor do they wish to correct the problem by introducing anything as money to the economy with their proposed legislation. Now, if we go back to page 239 for a moment, to point number 14 out of their 18-point guideline principles, they say, quote, get a load of this now. A sovereign government exercising its monetary authority creates money and spends it into circulation simply by writing good checks against no funds to pay for authorized national expenditures. I couldn't believe anybody would write such a statement, let alone engineers. Now, why you and I couldn't do this, the authors somehow failed to explain. But I think you know why we couldn't do it. And I think you know why you'd go to prison if you were caught doing that on a regular basis. On page 263, they continue. It is impossible, they say, to solve this problem by further restricting the money supply by linking it to gold. Hold it just a moment. We're going to link the money to gold. But you see, it was the gold that was declared to be as money in the Coinage Act of April 2nd, 1792 at Section 11. If gold was the money, how do you link money to gold? Well, they think that an IOU for money is money. Now, if you can't define your terms any better than that, then you need to go back to aeronautical engineering. Nevertheless, they say it is impossible to solve this problem by further restricting the money supply by linking it to gold, silver, wheat, or any other commodity, end quote. So once again, the authors of monetary reform cannot distinguish between monetary gold and silver as opposed to dishonored promises now to pay it. The authors then highlight something else. They say, quote, the inability of gold to maintain constant purchasing power. Okay, so now they're suggesting that gold is unstable. The inability of gold to maintain constant purchasing power in the face of the operation of fractional reserve deposit expansion. Well, hold on, let's just stop right there. As if this, again, was somehow a flaw inherent to gold. The flaw isn't in gold. The flaw is in credit creation. The credit creation is what creates the fluctuations in the present market. We've covered that in previous messages. So you see, it was not a flaw inherent to gold. but it was a flaw inherent to the crime of fraud and theft perpetrated by the creation of imaginary bank deposits, which compete with gold, and according to legal tender laws, those numbers are just as valuable as those numbers appearing on a gold coin. The authors then bask in the assumption that gold is somehow unstable and therefore unsuitable for use as money, since its price, measured in dollars per ounce, is said to rise and fall on a daily basis in the London Exchange. Now, this is another myth that we'll be addressing in this series, since it's impossible to price gold in dollars per ounce. Now, I don't know about you, but English was never this much fun when I was in school. And I was fortunate to escape the clutches of modern economics professors who were let loose on society to lobotomize whoever crossed their paths. But now, turning to page 264 and 65, the authors ask this question: does the United States Treasury own any gold? They answer it by saying, all the gold in Fort Knox or any of the other depositories in the country has been mortgaged to the Federal Reserve banks, end quote. Well, they may be right about that. But pray tell, what did the Federal Reserve System lend to us collectively by way of Congress, state legislatures, and municipal offices, for which our gold was mortgaged? If you can identify the substance of what it was that they loaned that was measured in dollars, I'll give you 100 pounds of it absolutely free. Page 265, they have a subtitle, Gold and Fear. They say one of the most remarkable features of gold is its ability to evoke confidence in the minds of so many people, despite its obvious inability to forestall economic panics. Wait just a minute. In fact, they say further, gold has consistently failed to avert financial panics. Well, why is gold responsible for stopping panics? The same could be said about the Constitution or even the Bible, neither of which have averted financial panics. Did you know that? But that fact in no way invalidates the Constitution or the Bible, nor does it invalidate gold. Panics are caused by people who ignore the principles of Scripture and the Constitution, both of which honor gold and silver. See? The people ignore those principles by placing their faith in credit created out of nothing by the God-man of banking. So why should gold be responsible for averting a financial panic? Page 266, they say, when monetary collapse threatens, fear drives many to the false theory that money must be based on a material commodity. Do they mean it's based on it? I believe that money should be a material commodity, not based on. See, there's a difference there. They say the cause of the collapse of an all-debt money system, however, is so totally unrelated to gold as to render a metallic base for the dollar completely irrelevant to the problem. I agree. The cause of the collapse is totally unrelated to gold. So then why is it that they blame people who believe that gold was supposed to avert the panic when they say gold is totally unrelated to the cause of the collapse? I agree. They have another subtitle called Gold and Hoarders. There's that H word again. They say fear also drives many to hoard gold on the premise that when money, what is that money, fails, well, the money is credit, the hoarders will be able to barter for real wealth, food, water, fuel, and so forth. President Franklin D. Roosevelt should have laid that false hope to rest years ago when, on January 31st, 1934, he signed a bill into law which required all United States citizens to turn in their gold or go to jail. We're doing a critique on the book called The Truth in Money book. It's an old book from 1989, my third edition. It's revised. But the authors had said in their assault on gold that FDR had made gold illegal, requiring all citizens to turn in their gold and or else go to jail. So now, do the authors insinuate that gold is somehow flawed because Congress and the President waged war against it on behalf of central bankers who stole it from our grandparents? Why would they trust Congress and a modern president to write good checks against no funds, which the authors admit we must be compelled by law to accept in order to implement their monetary reform proposal? You see, when we turn back to page 237, point number 6 of their 18-point platform states, quote, money is sought after and made universally acceptable in exchange for goods and services through legal tender laws requiring its use for the payment of debts and taxes. Does that sound like a free society to you? Did anyone ever require or force you to use or accept gold or silver coins? Was Abraham forced to do so in Genesis chapter 23 when he purchased land to bury his wife Sarah with 400 shekels of silver? Is a free market built on a foundation of legalized theft by government, and where you are legally compelled to participate in being robbed? These authors seem to believe so. And their legislative proposal is a mirror image of the criminal confidence game we have now. The simplest monetary system employs gold and silver in coin form of a known weight and purity in harmony with the biblical law of just weights and measures, using a unit of measure, such as the ounce and fractions thereof, well understood by the people. If their understanding is clear, then a clever cadre of organized thieves will be prevented, or at least impeded, from teaming up with politicians to steal your money. When credit is suggested as a substitute for gold or silver, you can be sure that a plan is underway to steal your money. If you're in doubt about this, where did this sense of doubt originate? It sure wasn't the Bible, or even the Constitution. You can probably trace it to academia, media, and Hollywood. I'm reminded of an old Western movie in which John Wayne played the star part, and he was offered either gold or paper. And what did he say? I'll take mine in currency, if you don't mind. Oh, wow. Boy, you don't want to stick John Wayne with a gold coin. Oh, heavens, no. You see, we're taught to laugh at gold because it's quaint, cumbersome, barbaric, inconvenient, and unscientific in a high-tech world of credit. This appeals to a secular humanist mindset, but no one is dumb enough to suggest that manufacturers stop shipping bulky items like lumber, appliances, cars, furniture, RVs, or prefab swimming pools. If you expect the producer to ship you any of these items, why is it so unthinkable that you should pay them for it with pieces of gold or silver?